What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now Plus. I'm Alex, and this week I'm going to talk about if The Last of Us Part 2 will be a PS5 launch day game. Now, obviously, the game is already out. Obviously, the game is making people happy, making a lot of people upset. Obviously, a big split in it, as you guys have known from watching the past videos I've done on this channel. But really, this is one of the biggest Sony games I think they're ever going to release. Obviously, this game is going to sell insane amount of copies. Now, I'm recording this on Friday, so, maybe we'll eventually get numbers maybe within the next couple days. I'm sure, if it crosses some kind of million benchmark within a certain amount of days, they'll obviously gloat about that. That's what all companies do. So I'm sure we'll hear about it. But obviously, this is a major success in terms of sales. The question is, what do they do with this game going forward? Now, I really want to talk about multiplayer. Multiplayer is going to be a big focus at some point within the next week or two. I definitely want to make a video either here or on Podcast Now about multiplayer. I think it's a very smart call. If I were in Sony's place, now I'm not, and maybe I shouldn't be, but if I were, I really do think I'd have a PS5 version of this game ready to go at launch. I think with Spider-Man, Miles Morales, they definitely have a game that I did not expect them to have for the fall. Remember, my thought with the fall process was, okay, well, they need something because Microsoft Series X is going to be very appealing to a lot of people. It may very well be cheaper than the PS5. It's going to have its fans, and Halo Infinite, that's the big one, right? That's the big game coming out for Xbox Series X. What will Sony have to compete? Is Horizon ready? Obviously, the answer is no. We didn't know that, a couple months ago, but, was Horizon ready? Is there a Killzone game being worked on? There is, I still think, some things that Sony's going to announce. I think they'll announce it during that August State of Play. And we'll start to fill out a little bit of that fall of the fall period, because I really think it's going to be more than just Spider-Man. Spider-Man's going to be that big gun, but that could be it. Now, what else could they do, though? Ghost of Tsushima and The Last of Us, they just came out. They're still going to be around in people's minds for probably around the summertime. Sure, they'll maybe die down going into the fall when we have other games coming out, but what can you do with them? Well, you can just re-release them, right? You can have your PS5 versions of these games. I think it works really well, and for me, what I think will end up happening, which I'll talk about again in the multiplayer video, is I think you do PS5 version, launch day. You do launch day PS5 version of The Last of Us Part 2 with the PS5, and you do multiplayer. Now, how they do multiplayer, that is going to be very confusing. I'm not sure. You're going to have to pay for it. Can it get patched in? Is it its own separate game, like maybe GTA Online, it's trying, with what they're trying to do, all that kind of stuff. What is it necessarily going to be? That is, that's a different question. That's a different video, but I really do think we would have another thing of The Last of Us Part 2 by the end of the year. We're used to, really, you look back with The Last of Us 1 and Uncharted 4, and they both had DLCs, pretty meaty DLCs. Obviously, The Last of Us had Left Behind, which was, short, and it was around 2-3 hours long, and it came out, remember, February, so it came out almost a full year, not necessarily, 9 months after The Last of Us the first game, The Last of Us came out June 2013, and then Left Behind, I believe, came out on Valentine's Day in 2014. Uncharted, obviously, came out in May of its year of 2016, and then Lost Legacy came out, I believe, in August, either late July or early August of 2017. So it took that game a full year, but that became basically its own thing. That was a massive scale. That was basically its own game. I know we're not talking about full-on DLC here, although I do think it's possible that we may get it. Even though I think it's possible, I don't think we will, but it's definitely something that could happen. But multiplayer, honestly, in this case, is kind of taking the place for me of DLC. I think multiplayer can get added in, can be added in at a later time rather than DLC. So instead of saying, okay, well, Left Behind came out 9 months later, you can say, okay, the multiplayer, so Last of Us Part 2, came out 5-6 months later. You know what I mean? I think that makes the most sense in what we're given. We know that the multiplayer is going to be really, really big. It's very ambitious. It's definitely taking everything they learned from Factions and turning it up to 11. So I'm very excited for multiplayer, and I think bundling that in with the PS5 version and the PS5, again, the multiplayer is a really big thing that I think is going to appeal to a lot of people, but even just having The Last of Us on PS5, you're going to have backwards compatibility, okay? So, people that have it digitally or even physically and they're getting the physical PS5, I'm sure you'll be able to play The Last of Us Part 2, if you want to replay the story or whatever, you'll be able to play it on next gen. But to also then have a next-gen version. Because remember, there's a difference between playing it backwards compatible and actually a version specifically for next-gen. The next-gen version is going to be better. Now, is it going to push the PS5 for all that it's worth? No, that's not going to come for several more years. But it's going to be definitely better than you would get if you just did backwards compatible. That really could bring people back in. It could firstly bring anybody that hasn't gotten the game yet to get it for PS5, right? They're getting the PS5 day one. They want games to play. They're going to get, Assassin's Creed. They're going to get Cyberpunk. They have a couple games, but they never got The Last of Us, and now it's like, okay, well, there's a PS5 version of The Last of Us, so it looks better. It runs even better. And, imagine it already runs really well. It's an amazing looking and like technical game on the PS4. It really is pushing it literally for all the PS4 has left. So imagine it for PS5, the PS5 version. It's going to be pretty darn good. That can definitely get some people. Heck, they may even get some people that play the game right now, beat it, and maybe, I think the people that hate this game aren't going to come back to it and maybe only would for multiplayer. But people that were okay with it or people that like this game, I think they would definitely jump back in for a PS5, like not necessarily built from the ground up, but more like optimized for the PS5. I think they'd absolutely jump back in. And then again, you add in multiplayer, and then I definitely think you have a lot more people. Again, firstly, people that bought it day one, like me, like you, if you did it, anybody like that, you're going to have them jumping back in. But then you also add multiplayer in general to the PS5 version, and you're going to get, and also PS4 obviously, and you're going to have people that have never gotten this game, that didn't get this game, maybe for whatever reason, they didn't have the money, they saw the review scores, they saw all the leaks, they saw all the hype get like destroyed, all that kind of stuff. Maybe they didn't get it, but maybe they will now. You know what I mean? So I think definitely there's so many positives to doing it. I think it's only a matter of time. When do I think it's going to be? I really do. My prediction would be launch day. I think that makes a lot of sense because even Spider-Man, like Miles Morales, they said holiday. Would that be a launch day game? I think it should be. I think it can be. I don't know if it would. I think if you launch the PS5 with your exclusive games being your big ones, Spider-Man, The Last of Us Part 2 PS5 edition, and Ghost of Tsushima PS5 edition. If you did that, and then you also would have Cyberpunk, you have all this other stuff, but again, your exclusives, those three games, you'd have that Kenna, Bridge of Spirits, you'll have your smaller like indie games too, but if those are your three big games, I think that's pretty solid. Yes, two of them are already out. I get that. I understand that, but you would be replaying them for the PS5, and then you also have Spider-Man to add on to it. So I think it makes a lot of sense that those games would be launch window, launch week, launch day games. I think it makes a lot of sense to do that. So guys, let me know in the comments below. What do you think? Do you think that The Last of Us Part 2 will make its way to PS5? Do you think it'll come with multiplayer? Do you think it'll be on launch day? What do you think? Let me know. As always, make sure you guys are subscribed to this YouTube channel. Have the bell icon turned on so you know when all these videos go up. And I do a brand new video on this channel every single day. We're going to be mixing in, I cover a lot of news stories on this channel, like anything that's breaking. So we're going to mix it in with Last of Us and the news stories over the next coming weeks. But I have lots of video ideas for The Last of Us Part 2 that I definitely want to cover and absolutely will, okay? Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all on the next video.